Hola, Sade, Adu. So it's a bit of a handful. I don't know why. I don't know why it happened, but I've had to bear it all my life.
But you've picked out the letters Shadu from that.
Sade, yeah. Yeah.
I've never met someone who doesn't like the music of Sade. It's timeless, cool, but also beautifully haunting. I initially started this video as the first installation of a 6-part series documenting the making of every Sade album. And while I still plan to do that, I found something even greater and more inspiring while I wrote this video. This story starts all the way back in the early 1980s, when Sade began her early 20s as a fashion designer. She'd always been an artsy person.
Working with Spano was very much just something that happened. I was designing and they were friends of mine, and they were coming to New York and they wanted to do a show before they came on stage. I wasn't friendly with the whole band, I'm friendly with the manager and the guitarist and songwriter Gary Kemp. And they just wanted to sort of keep it in the family, you know, bring friends over rather than strangers. And they just brought a contingent of designers with them, and we were included because basically we were friends and buddies, and we all went to the same clubs and so on and so forth. So
from here, she found herself around a band by the name of Pride.
But the way I got into singing was by chance. You know, somebody asked me to if I could sing. A friend of mine had a group that had 2 backing vocalists. One of the singers left and they had a concert coming up, and he asked me if I could sing, so I said, oh, I'll attempt to. And so I auditioned for the band. They initially turned me down and then came crawling back to me when they couldn't find anybody better. They came back, and so I humbly and modestly accepted the position in the band.
Sade and Stuart Matthewman quickly became the principal songwriters of the group, and the band started composing their own original material. Now, they didn't have a ton of original material. They also didn't have the means to record them, but they managed to record early versions of Smooth Operator and Your Love Is King.
Went in the studio and did the songs that we'd been doing live, kind of live in the studio, and not really thinking about anything, just doing them, you know, not thinking that we'd ever be playing halls or big. We were just playing tiny little clubs at the time, so it all kind of got carried away.
Matthewman described taking these original songs and recording them as sort of taking the songs we had been doing live, kind of live in the studio. Playing tiny clubs meant Sade were strangers to the more professional side of the music industry. They did have the rough demos of Smooth Operator and Your Love Is King, the couplet of songs that opened Diamond Life. The album's producer, Robin Miller, described these demos as basic, but the songs were there. And then there was that voice. Miller asked the group what they wanted to do, and having some interest from record companies, they asked Miller if they could record in his studio with him producing. There was one major problem. They had no money. Luckily, Miller saw and heard the potential, so he agreed, fitting in sessions between other artists and any other times they could sort of manage, like evenings and weekends. They'd use the sessions to record better mixes of Smooth Operator and Your Love Is King, the same ones that you hear on the album, actually. And more interestingly, the same ones that got rejected by dozens of record companies.
It's a very different sound, very jazz-oriented kind of thing. Why do you think that can be successful now? I mean, we've been in an era of dance music, and this is something, it's a lot slower. It's a more adult feeling, more sophisticated sound. Do you think that can be a commercial success?
Yeah, I mean, I personally listen to a lot of improvised jazz, and so does Stuart, Matthewman, who I co-write the songs with. But that probably colours it and influences it slightly, like, you know, the way both of us phrase, like when I play and when he sings, and the way we arrange the songs. But I wouldn't say it was jazz. I would say, first of all, what we're doing was soul, really, because they're songs about people, and they're just songs that maybe in the old-fashioned sense, because they've got a story to them and a beginning and an end, and not really too many gimmicks.
Most of the reception to these early tracks and demos shared the belief that the songs were too jazzy and too long. So, you know, basically why we like Sade's music. Now, remember, this was the 1980s. Music was moving in a more electronic and sort of big techno, big drum sound, with the likes of bands like Tears for Fears and Depeche Mode. Even in America, artists like Prince were going bigger with albums like Purple Rain. This obstacle didn't slow down the momentum for Sade, however. They just had to get even more creative. Sade's boyfriend at the time, journalist Robert Elms, used his connections at a new monthly magazine called The Face. The magazine decided to put her on the front cover with the words Sade, the face of 1984. Quickly after, the band capitalized off of this by organizing a show at a London club called Heaven, an idea originally suggested by Miller. In haste, the band rehearsed a 30-minute set of covers, one of which being Why Can't We Live Together, which concludes Diamond Life. The other songs in the set included Smooth Operator, Your Love is King, and Hang On to Your Love. Miller says those titles were the only 3 songs they knew. Could you imagine, just for a second, seeing Sade in the early 80s, right before they blew up, when they only knew 3 of their own songs? The event was a huge success, with some 1,000 people lining up outside the club and being denied entry. The same record companies that rejected Sade were suddenly eager to sign them. These companies promised to send her to America to work with Quincy Jones, but Sade wasn't interested in that. She denied the companies like they denied the band. She chose to stay in England, saying, "I love Quincy Jones, but I'm quite happy here, and I'm quite happy working with Robin." And the rest, as we know, is history. Despite the blood, sweat, and tears that it took for Sade to finally win, the music they'd end up recording is as smooth and breezy as a rainy summer night. Sade would spend 6 weeks recording their polished and luxurious debut album. And if you know anything about music production and recording, you know that this was not the end of the hard work for the band. Again, this was the 80s, so there wasn't access to high-end automated equipment that music artists have now. Miller recounts having used a, quote, real piano and Fender Rhodes piano, painstakingly syncing them up, end quote. The restrictions didn't stop here. On the record Cherry Pie, Matthewman recalls having multiple people at the mixing board at a time. Before we had mixing desks with automation, Robin was there with the 4 of us in the studio. Everyone was at the desk at the same time. Everyone had their own job of putting a bit of echo, delay, or changing a level down on a tape. Then you would edit between those different mixes to get the best mix. Very often, we would have 6 people at the mixing desk at the same time. As insane as that sounds, I think it's moments like that and just dedication like that that make Diamond Life what it is. Real, smooth, authentic, beautiful. This kind of dedication makes the music even better and even more perfect. They had to be precise with everything, just as they were leading up to the album. Every decision, every turn of the knob had to be exact.
Title of your song, When Am I Gonna Make a Living? Is that autobiographical?
Yeah, it's very much so. I mean, it's like the band's anthem. It's a song about motivation, self-motivation and optimism and hope, basically. And that's what we've all had, and we've still got it.
This level of dedication was happening all throughout the process of Diamond Life. Miller recalls the precision and passion that permeated from the group, especially the frontwoman. There was a lot of hard work by the group. The record company was gearing up for the launch of this new superstar, which meant photo sessions, choosing costumes, direction, photo art for the album, interviews, and biographies. Sade was all over that. She worked as hard on choosing photographs, outfits, photographers, cropping photos, and sub-editing. She would be in the studio 2 hours before the session would start, meeting with the head of promotion or press and discussing strategies. It's one of the reasons I knew this album would do well, because she looked like $1,000,000 and she had that voice. The record was coming together well, and she was determined to embrace the game. I don't mean the game disparagingly. She was very willing, able, and ready to play the game. Sade knew exactly what she wanted. That's why she stayed in England with her band and her producer. That was the game, and she was playing it. That's even why they changed their name from Pride to Sade. Quote, I stood back in complete amazement while Sade just said, look, we're called Pride at the moment. I just think Sade is a better name than Pride. The rest of the band agreed with her. I thought to myself, this is somebody who gets what she wants. None of them said anything against it. That's not to undercut the band behind her, because, no pun intended, I don't think Sade is too prideful or egotistical. I just think everything was falling into place for the group at this time, finally. It was a new era, and the name change helped to mark that. The band recorded 13 to 15 songs in 6 weeks from October to November of 1983. Some of the songs that didn't make the cut can be found as singles, like Should I Love You, Spirit, Red Eye, and even the piano ballad Love Affair with Life, which is only available on the cassette version of the album. That's one of my personal favorite Sade songs that I wish had more of an official release on DSPs, but whatever, I guess I'll just look for the cassette. Sade herself said, one of the songs I don't think we recorded well. On another one, I don't like the arrangement. So Diamond Life's final form was 9 songs. The album was a huge success.
Yeah, it happened quickly. I'm not surprised that, we all want the success from the album. We all dreamed of that, and that's what made us get out of bed in the morning very early when we've been to bed very late, maybe the night before. And
I find this all incredibly inspiring, just how many chances the band had to give up. Their first 2 songs, which are honestly huge popular hits, got rejected by every bigwig, every record company. Instead of changing their sound, they stayed true and stayed patient. They used their connections. They eventually got presented the opportunities they always deserved. And instead of taking the biggest offer, they remained consistent. Sade doubled down. She stayed with her band, stayed with her producer. Who knows how they would have changed had they gone to America to work with Quincy, or if they worked with just a different label in England. They stayed true and made the album they wanted to, and went on to create one of the most quality bodies of work in musical history. If you're a creative in any capacity, I think this story will really inspire and move you. And I hope you can relate to it, to both ends of it. The struggle, but also the impending success. What's even more inspiring and impressive about this entire story is that this was only the beginning.
Our goal is basically to get better, to keep our sound, but, you know, improve. I mean, we've got a long way that we can go. I think that we've done a lot making Diamond Life. We've done a lot for a first album, but we all still think, and especially me for myself and the pressures that I put on myself to improve, that, you know, we have a long way to go, and really it's to make a greater album, you know, than Diamond Life.